Okay, so hello guys. Today I'm gonna teach you how to do knotless braids, the medium sized ones that we do here, and I'm gonna show you the products that I use, how to take care of your client's hair, how to part their edges, how to tuck their hair in, and just everything that you need to know so that you can make money doing knotless braids, because that is a really trendy style right now and everybody needs to know how to do it. So the products that I'm going to be using will be this Shine and Jam. You can use this one or the green one. This is the green one. It really doesn't matter. I guess it really just depends on their hair texture. If they have thicker hair, I guess you can try the green one. For the most part, the yellow one is fine. And the yellow one is cheaper. So if you can use the yellow one, use the yellow one. But if you like the green one, that is also an option. So most people do square parts for their knotless braids, but we do C parts. And when you do C parts, it's kind of better for people with thinner edges because it fills in their braids better than square parts. But square parts are very cute and we love square parts too. But today I'm going to go into detail with the C parts. So if you want to do square parts, the way you can do square parts, people normally start in the back. And for the medium sized braids, you'll part this section. You'll part this section down. And you'll use your Shine and Jam to kind of get a neat part. You'll use your Shine and Jam, just to get your parts neat and all of that stuff. And this is for the medium size. And what that Shine and Jam does, it just lets you see your mistakes when you're parting, so you could kind of go back through and, fix it easier than when the client's hair is all dry and loose. So once you get that all ready to go and even through there, when you're doing the medium size, you'll just divide the back into 3 rows. That's 1 row. So if you're doing the medium size, you part the hair like that first, and then you part it into 3 rows in the back evenly. You use your Shine and Jam to make everything even, and then you'll just do your squares. So your squares come down all the way through. Normally you'll do 4 to 5 in the back, depending on how thick their hair is and how much hair they have back here. And then you'll just repeat that all the way through. So you'll have this section at the top. You're gonna do 5 rows on this side, 5 rows on that side. So normally it'll be 4 rows, 2 at the top, 4 rows on the other side, 2 at the top, right? Yes, so that'll be 5 and 5. Okay, so you'll just come through here. And normally I will kind of pre-part because I'm a visual person. I have to see it, I absolutely have to see it. So sometimes I'll just pre-part it, but I won't do it exactly. I'll just kind of get an estimate, put the hair up. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to do C-part, medium-sized knotless braids, waist length. So when you're doing the medium size, and again, you want it to be 5 on this side, 5 on that side. It doesn't matter. It could be a middle part, it could be a side part, but just so you have the accurate, you just want your parts to be accurate. So numbers help you, make sure you're doing the right size. And when you want to do them small, sometimes you'll do 6 and 6. And if they have some people have bigger heads, they might have to get like 7 and 7. And just so you can get the right size for everyone. The standard size for medium is 5 and 5. Standard size for small is 6 and 6. Unless people have thicker hair or, bigger heads, then you'll charge extra and give them the extra amount of braids so it still looks full for them. So here I'm gonna give her 5 and 5 because, her hair is pretty, she blew it out pretty nicely. So she'll get a nice size for her hair. So I'm gonna start on the edges because for the C parts, the best way that I make my edges consistent is I start on the edges and I go all the way up. And then I work my way and work my way. That just helps me make sure that I know where I'm starting from. So I use my Shining Jams to kind of put her hair, make sure it's in place so I can part it easier. And always make sure you part the edges in a way that the braid, her edges are safe. Her edges are pretty full and healthy, so this is a nice little standard part for this side of her head. So let me kind of make sure that 5 will fit. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so 5 will fit. 5 will fit properly. Most of the time when you're doing C parts, unless they say they want their part in the middle, I would kind of go past the middle part because you get the perfect C part when you don't stop in the middle. Once you're comfortable with C parts, then you'll know how to stop in the middle and make sure it's accurate. But for the most part, when you're first learning these parts, I would advise you that when you're going up through the edges, kind of go past the middle. It'll help you kind of line things up a little bit better. So this is my first braid. I'm always using clips to get the hair out of the way for me. Always using clips. So this is the way I do knotless braids. You can use my technique and kind of remix it, but this is how I do knotless braids. And I'm left-handed, so make sure if you're not left-handed, don't try to do it like you're left-handed. Just do what I'm doing, but do it in your right hand or however you need to do. So I normally, put the hair into 2, and then I kind of put that side into 2. And so this is about the size, because I like my knotless braids to be very flat, so I try not to use too much hair. So this is how I grab my hair. Got this piece at the top. I grab this bottom piece because this is gonna ensure that all of this hair is brushed right in. Then I have this back piece that I'm kind of holding with my middle finger and my index and my 4th finger. So make sure you're holding it nice and securely. Put my piece of hair, she's getting waist length. So every time I put this piece of hair in, I want to make sure it's the length that I want it to be. That way the braid is full all the way down. So I have my index finger and my thumb. That's where I put the hair. I'm gonna do that again. Just like that. Everything you want to grab it as one. So now my index finger and my thumb, kind of holding that in place. Divide this into 2. Divide that into 2. So I have 3 pieces. Hold the bottom part. I'm gonna add a little bit more here because she has Her edges are pretty full. Once again, so I'm going to add about this amount. But I'm gonna make sure I kind of tilt the hair so one piece is shorter and one piece is longer, so that that first piece is waist length. That way when I add in the hair, the braid is full all the way down. So now I have this piece and I have my thumb and my index finger holding that. You always have to make sure that you're gripping the hair while you're turning. So while I'm turning, the hair is gripped in every part. See how it's gripped there? My index finger and my thumb are always in place. So now I'm gonna add my next pieces. Remember, I'm gonna tilt the hair so it matches the length all the way down. So this is how I'm gonna tilt it. I'm gonna add it in. You don't have to do this too tight. You can just kind of grip. Just grip the hair, don't grip the scalp. I'm just gripping the hair. Thumb and index finger need to always grip. Keep your hands very steady. Keep them steady. Always gripping. That thumb and index finger is always gripping. This middle finger is always blocking the hair from sliding. So it'll stay flat. So you want to make sure that you don't start braiding too soon, because if you start braiding too soon, the hair will slide. Like if you start trying to braid down too quick, the hair will slide. So that's my braid. It's not too tight, it's flat. So now I'm just going to add enough hair. Every time I add this piece, I want it to match the length that I've had. This is how I add in hair. I just kind of like, it's just natural, like exactly how I'm braiding down. That's how you add the hair in. So I'll show you guys again in the next braid, because this braid is, I don't need any more hair. So I always make sure I'm braiding, when I'm braiding down, I'm braiding close, I'm braiding firmly, all the pieces are even. And I can naturally tuck her hair in because it's straight and it's blown out. So that's easy. So I'm gonna stop that right there and do the next braid. Remember, 5 and 5. So I'm just gonna start on the edges so I can get an even amount. Now, if somebody has thinner edges, you always want to part a little bit bigger than you're supposed to, just so, you know, they can have some security. And you want to part backwards, not up. When someone has thinner edges, you want to more so part the part backwards so they can have some fullness. When you part bigger like this instead of like this, it's going to be really gappy, and nobody likes a lot of gaps. So that's for people with thinner edges or, you know, thinner hair. So when you do the C parts, you always just want to go on top and just kind of part all through here, kind of come down and come more so halfway in between each braid. So this is good. Remember, split it in half. And it doesn't even have to be that neat when you split it in half. Just make sure, you know, you split it. So remember, index finger and thumb. When I add my hair in, I kind of make sure one piece is kind of short and one piece is kind of long. I'm gonna add a little bit more because her hair is a bit thicker. Make sure you hold everything, grip everything. But don't grip too tight, just grip enough so it doesn't slide. Once those braids start sliding and those knotless braids start looking like box braids, always make sure when you add that hair, you add it in and you do not let go until that thumb, you see that index finger and that thumb has it. This middle finger is always holding that hair in place and blocking it from sliding. So now we're gonna see how seamless that it needs to be. So I'm adding the pieces. Remember, keep braiding like this until you've braided down enough and you're comfortable enough to start braiding down without the braid kind of sliding. So, not too tight, it's flat, it's neat. The consistency from the root on down is the same. Her hair. Take it back. So sometimes the hair can be a bit silky, so you can just use the jam to kind of grip it better. So your braid has a nice consistency. I feel this braid getting a little thin. I'm gonna just kind of add hair as I go. And you could just be the judge of how thick and thin you want your braids. I like my braids to be flat, but I like them to be full all the way down. So I can just tell when I need to add. So you just need to be, you know, be that braider that just knows when you need to add. Or if you have an assistant that's helping you, they can add the hair if they feel like the braid isn't the length it needs to be. But you always need to add in so that the braid could be thick like this all the way down. So right here, her edges, they're a bit thinner than they are here. So the amount of hair that I want to add in, I want it to be a little bit less because I don't want her to have so much braiding hair hanging on her edges if they're a little bit thinner, because that's how your client's hair come out. It's just too much braiding hair. So sometimes the braids on the edges will be a bit smaller, and that's okay. That's just how I need to be. Because if it's not like that, your client gonna be complaining that her braids are too heavy on her edges and all of this stuff. So do what you gotta do. So now I'm at the top, and this is the 5th braid. It ends up kind of being, the 5th braid ends up being a middle part. The 5th and 6th braid are, those are middle parts. But like I said, it's kind of hard to do the C parts as a middle part unless you're like a pro. So I would start off doing side parts because you can for sure close the top up with a side part as a beginner. So you see how it's all neatly, stops right here, stops right here. That's why you start on your edges, because it just sets up the foundation for how you're gonna part everywhere else. Okay, so this is the 6th braid. So that means I'm gonna do 4 on the other side when I wanna come up. So you gotta kind of mirror it. 1, 2, yeah. So this is good. It's perfect with how I'm doing my parts. And on this 6th braid, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna braid the whole braid down so you guys can see, because I know some people have told me they have an issue with the braid. Like when they braid down, the braid is real thin. They can't tuck their client's hair in because they don't understand the concept of adding in the hair. So, of course, everybody's hair texture is different, so you're not gonna use the same method for everybody. But once you learn the technique, you'll know how to improvise with different hair textures. And when you're using this technique to split it in half, if they have thinner edges in the front, make sure that this area of hair is bigger than this area when splitting it in half, because you need more support to grip the edges. But you know, her hair is full, so I could do it straight down the middle. Make sure when you're gripping it like this, you're not gripping it too tight, because you want the braid to be flexible and not super stiff and painful the first day. Put my hair inside of there. The key to this is just always gripping, like keeping your hands in place. Don't let them slip. That's how you get the precision down. Now, remember, this hair, I kind of slanted it in. When I put it inside, I want to see the length. Now, as far as the length, as long as this hair goes all the way down and matches the length, that means you'll have one piece of hair that's always going to be there to make your braid more full. As you add in the hair, you continue to add it in this way, but make sure it's always matching the length. And that's how you get a full braid all the way down and not a skimpy braid on the tip. You got to take your time with knotless braids. You cannot rush, because once you rush and your hands slip, your braids will not be seamless and they will be box braids. You can't add too much hair on the first piece because it's going to be lumpy. You got to add just enough, like to kind of match their texture. See, I'm still kind of adding in because before I start braiding down, I want the braid to be the size that I need it to be. If you don't add enough hair, you won't be able to tuck your client's hair into any hair, because it's gonna only be the client's hair. There'll be no braiding hair. So you absolutely have to master the adding in technique. Sometimes the pieces can become uneven, but as a braider, you just need to, get to that level and know how to, make your braids even as you're braiding down. If the client's hair is sticking out, you absolutely have to use product as you're braiding down to tuck your client's hair in the braid. Sometimes some clients can have hair that's too straight, where they just got their ends cut, and yes, of course, their hair might just stick out. It's nothing you could do. But if you can actually tuck their hair in, do it and use your products. But always let your client know before you start that, hey, your hair is too straight, so it's gonna stick out. Because if y'all just do people hair and you don't warn them about what's gonna happen, they're gonna blame you. So always be ahead of the game. So now I'm gonna start on the other rows. This has set me up so I know what my medium size is and I know how I'm gonna part moving forward. So when you're parting back, you always want these parts to fall into each other. So that's why I love this comb. The tips are just good enough to really get a seamless part going there. Now, yeah, sometimes the row down here, it might be a little smaller than the rest. That's just because this part of the head is a little bit shorter than the rest. So you want to make sure these braids can fit in. But not all the time, just sometimes. So that's gonna be the first part. Now the next part, that's why I made sure I set it up like this. The next part, I'm gonna go right here. Then I'm gonna clean this up. Next part, boom, right here. Next part, right here. The next part, right here. And I'm just gonna continue that pattern going up, coming back here, going up, going up. Then I'm gonna switch sides and that's how I'm gonna close it. So. Okay, so this is why I'm starting on my edges, why I like to start on my edges. It gives me a foundation to be able to do another row behind there. And you see how everything is very seamless. It's very seamless. It's just, you know, it's kind of uniform, and that's what my clients like. They like things to be neat, uniform, just seamless, and that's what's gonna sell. That's how you're gonna sell your knotless braids, having them flat, seamless, all the way through. The braid looks like it's coming out of her scalp. It's flexible, it's not painful, it's not too tight, and it just looks good. See how my hair is full all the way down to her waist. That's what clients like. They like things to be consistent all the way through. You don't want your braids to be skinny and short right here, and this is a different length and blah, blah, blah. No, you want them to be seamless. So I'm gonna stop this braid right here. This is gonna be my last braid. Then I'm gonna move to my other side, because if you have a braiding assistant, they need to be able to work. So while they're braiding this side down, you need to be on the other side, finishing that side up. If you're somebody that works alone, you could do however you need to do. So make sure you get your numbers right for your sizes, because that's gonna help you when you're trying to close it. So remember, we're doing medium, so it's gonna be 5 on this side, 5 on that side. Remember, we wanna start and we wanna pass the middle part. So instead of stopping at 5, which is the middle part, we're doing 6. So this side needs to be 4. This is gonna help you close the top. You gotta follow the numbers. So let me see, I'm gonna kind of pre-part and see if I'm in the right. When you get to this area, it's gonna look kind of weird, but you just kind of need to just keep the same technique. Make sure every braid is aligned here. So I'm gonna part this fourth braid because it's 5 and 5. Just kind of make sure it fits. And like I said, sometimes your client might have, her head might be a little bit bigger and 5 and 5 won't really fit. You might need to make it like, maybe like 6 and 5, or you know, something else. You kind of figure it out. You charge your client extra if you need to, all of that. Just make sure everything fits and looks good. And like I said before, sometimes the braids on the edges are gonna be a bit smaller just because they can't handle the same size. And because I need to part her hair like this for the braids to fit, and this is still safe on her edges, I wanna be on the safe side. So right now, this fits perfectly like this. The way I look at C-parts, I look at it like a puzzle. I just want every piece to kind of fit. I'm gonna just pre-part to make sure I'm on the right track. Because sometimes if you just part, if you're not somebody that knows how to do that, you will mess up. So you gotta always make sure you close your C parts. So I made sure I measured everything to the point where I could close it. Make sure it's not too gappy, make sure it's the right size. Just make it like a puzzle, make everything fit. See how this is gonna be two? So remember, her hair is thicker, so the amount of hair that I could use, I just want to make sure it's enough that I could grip properly with. Don't make sure it's not too thin or too thick. And once you set the braid, the first 2 times that you add in, try not to, when you're adding in any hair after that, make sure it's not too thick, because you always want your braids flat. So you'll probably add a whole bunch of these. Okay, this is an example of sometimes your client's hair being straight. I can actually tuck her hair in. I'm gonna undo this braid and put some shine jam. Let's see how I've tucked her hair in. I'm actually gonna braid this one down and show you guys, because I've added the braid is the right length and it's gonna be thick all the way down. Or in order to get a seamless braid, all your pieces have to be even. So you just need to know how to, you know, share each piece with the other if needed. So you can have a neat braid. As you're braiding down, you want to make sure this braid matches the length of the other ones, so you don't have a bunch of short, skimpy braids. Remember, you only add when you need to. I could tell this is getting thin and her hair is kind of thick. I'm gonna need to tuck it in. So I'm gonna keep adding in until the braid is thin at the bottom. So when you kind of get to the top, you're just gonna make this braid fit in right here. Then on the other side, this will come on this side, and you just kind of keep going up. You start in the back, kind of come up and just close it up. Now because I'm coming higher up with my braid, I want to make sure I'm still adding in my hair. One short piece, one long piece, so that it reaches the length, because the higher up you get, the shorter the braid will get. So pay attention to when you're adding so your braid it won't be too short. So as you can see, as I'm braiding down, her hair is thicker, but the braid is getting thin at the bottom. I must add right where her hair is so that I'm able to tuck her hair in. If you don't have enough hair in the braid, you won't be able to tuck their hair in properly. And the braid will be skimpy on the bottom. Skimpy and thin. So as we get to the front, coming from the back, we just want to kind of close it, still coming up like we've been doing. Like I said, just make sure the braids fit. The parts don't have to be perfect. This is more so a free form, like free falling, not free falling, what am I trying to say? Free parts, or a C part. When you get to the top, like I said, you kind of just bounce around and make sure the braids fit, make sure all your parts are neat. They don't all have to necessarily be like exactly the same, but if you get them consistent enough, they should be good. So this is gonna be 3 braids right here. This is 1. So now that we're all done, we're just gonna braid down. You don't have to add in anymore. I've already added everything in, so she could just braid down.